Attention all bakers, doubles vendors and roti makers. Try our high quality unbleached bromate free all-purpose and baker's flour. Low price and conveniently packaged in 2 pounds, 2 kg, 10 kg and 25 kg bags. For wholesale and retail prices, contact Shiklisha Limited 665-3336 or visit us at Warrenville, Canupia. Shiklisha Limited, quality you can trust.
Let me hear you sing. Got to have my Viva, water but so much better. Got to have my Viva, water but so much better.
Viva sparkling flavored water. Water but better.
Good afternoon, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to C Results on IBN TV, as well as the IBN TV Facebook page and the C Results Facebook page. So it's Thursday, and it's the final episode in this first season, which has been extended into the home stretch due to the coronavirus situation. But our Standard 5 students, they're going to be heading back out to school come Monday for that final month of preparation with their teachers and their classmates before they sit this very crucial exam in their development as young people. So today will be our final episode, as we've taken you this far, and we hope that you enjoy the journey with us. And now we will leave it to you and your teachers and your peers and so on to do that final bit of preparation without any added pressure from us with our assignments and quizzes and so on, all right? But do remember that everything that we've done so far, today is the 74th episode of C Results in total, and all of those episodes, well, except today's, are uploaded to our YouTube channel, C Results, and they are also available on our Facebook page, C Results, so you can view the entire series from the very first episode all the way down to today. Right, today's episode will be posted to YouTube within a couple of days, and you can use it as a means of revision, as a reference. Most of our episodes, all of our episodes have questions which you can test yourself after we've covered the content, right? Always pause the video when the question is posed, and then you can try to work it out on your own, and you will get an answer at the very end when you unpause it, all right? And it will also have input from your peers who might have misconceptions shared with you, So, please avail yourself of it, and we are going to keep our Edmodo class open until the exam. We're not going to be posting work on it per se, but we do know that our students on Edmodo, they use the platform a lot to ask each other questions, to give each other, reminders and motivation and so on. And of course, any question there that's too difficult for them to get out on their own, provided that we have the time, of course, we will look into it and we will assist. All right, so that is going to remain open, and you just saw the access code there, J55AHA. So if you're not on board, you can still get on board even up to now, and it will remain open until after the exam has been written. So in this first hour, we're going to complete our SEA practice paper in mathematics that we've been doing for the last few episodes. All right, we are into section 3 now, where we are about to begin the third section of that paper. And of course, as usual, we're going to be requiring your help. So those numbers are going to be posted on the screen now for you. And you can give us a call and do help us with these final 5 questions. It is section 3, so of course it's going to be very tricky. So let's hope that we can get through all of these questions in the first hour and then move on to a very special segment of creative writing later today. So here is that first question, and of course the numbers are there on the screen. So you can give us a call and you will help us to read this question, and everyone at home should have their pen, their paper, their pencil, whatever apparatus you're using to do your working at home, and work along with us even if you're not going to be calling, and see if you can get the same answer. Maybe if you don't, or maybe you might not, and you'll still get the right answer at the end. All right, so those numbers are there, they're available to you. So please do give us a call and help us to answer this question. All right, it's a bit of a lengthy one. It's a lot of thinking involved in this question, but in the end you will realize how straightforward it is once you get wrap your mind around what it is actually asking for. All right, so I will read it in the meantime until we get a call. So the table below shows the number of cars rented from a car company over a 6-week period. And we have the table there, and you'll notice we have the weeks and the number of cars rented, and we're missing some information for week 2 and week 5, right? 70% of all the cars were rented before week 4 during the 6-week period. The difference in the number of cars rented during weeks 1 to 3 and weeks 4 to 6 was 160 cars. How many more cars were rented in week 2 than week 5? All right, so it's a bit of a toughie, I will admit, but we're going to use your help and see how best we can answer, right? So I have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon, and who am I speaking with?
Julia Benjamin.
Hi, Julia. How are you doing today?
I'm fine.
So are you prepared to help us with this question?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to read it over first?
Yes.
All right, go ahead, please, and read it for us.
The table below shows the number of cars rented from the Car Plus company over a 6-week period. 70% of all the cars during the 6-week period was rented before week 4. The difference in the number of cars rented during week 1 to 3 as compared to weeks 4 to 6 was 160 cars. How many more cars were rented in week 2 than week 5?
Yes. So what would you do in this situation, Julia?
First, I will take 160 cars and divide it by week 4.
And divided by how much?
4.
All right, and why would you do that? Julia? Hello? All right, so we seem to have left Julia there. So Julia said that she would take this 160 cars and divide it by 4, and I am interested in knowing why. All right, perhaps our next caller might have a different take on it. And again, those numbers are there available for you on the screen. We have to figure out the difference in the number of cars rented between weeks 2 and 5. Okay, and in order to do so, we'll have to first figure out how many cars were rented out in week 2 and in week 5, and we have to come up with a strategy to determine that. Now, it does involve doing something with that 160 cars, perhaps dividing by 4, but we need to know what is the reason you are going to divide by 4. All right? So essentially, the question is saying that 70% of all the cars were rented before week 4. So that would have to mean in the first 3 weeks, right? We have 6 weeks. So before week 4 would have to entail these first 3 weeks over here. And that represents 70% of all the cars that were rented in this 6-week period. All right, and Julia said that we need to divide by 4. We want to know why. I see I have another caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
It's Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. How are you doing?
Good.
So, Aaron, what would you do in this particular question here? Did you get to read the question?
Yeah.
All right. So, Julia said that she divide 160 by 4. What do you think and why?
Yata the 160.
What would you do with the 160?
Add it.
Add it to what?
To 120.
All right. So
And
go ahead.
150.
Okay. Now, the 160 cars, what does that represent? Do you know? Can you tell me what that 160 cars represents? That is the difference in the cars that were rented.
Yata add up all.
Uh-huh.
Yata add up 120, 50, and 40, and 30.
Uh-huh. All right. So here's what, Aaron. Let me help you and you will work along with me, right?
Okay.
So before week 4 means weeks 1 to 3. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
That is before week 4, right? That is 70%. So if that is 70%, what percent of the cars were rented from weeks 4 to 6? If weeks 1 to 3 is 70% of the cars, what percentage of the cars would be rented from weeks 4 to 6?
4 to...
How much percent do we have in total normally?
30%.
30%, because you took 100 and you subtracted the 70, right?
Then you'll get 30%.
Right, very good. So 70% of the cars rented were in the first 3 weeks and 30% rented in the 4th to 6th week, right?
Yeah.
And that difference between that 70% and that 30% is equal to how many cars? The difference between weeks 1 to 3 and 4 to 6 is how many cars?
160.
160, right? But what is the difference in the percentage between 70% and 30%?
Yata take it away.
Right. And what would I get if I take that away?
You will get 40.
40, you said?
Yeah.
All right, very good. So the difference is 40%,
40.
right? So
Yeah.
40% is equal to how many cars then? %40 is the difference in the percentage between weeks 1 to 3 and weeks 4 to 6. And we know that that is 40%. And in terms of the number of cars, the difference is 160 cars, right? Do you agree with that, Aaron?
Yeah.
Yes?
40% is equal to 160.
Right, 40% is equal to 160. So how would I find for 1%?
Okay, so you have to find the whole. You have to invert.
You have to invert. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so you go ahead and work that out and tell me what you'll get done.
or 40% is equal to 2/5.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to continue helping you out with this question, right? So if 40% is 160 cars and I want to find for 1%, can't I divide 160 by 40? Wouldn't that give me 1%?
1%.
And what is 160 divided by 40?
You'll get 4.
4, right?
Yeah.
So 1% is equal to 4
4.
cars, right?
Yeah.
4 cars. Good. Now, how many what percentage represents weeks 1 to 3? What is the total percentage from weeks 1 to 3?
Okay. So yeah. So there's okay. So 7 weeks in 1 week. 7 days in 1 week, right?
Uh-huh.
So 7 multiplied by 3, that will give you 21.
All right, that's 21 days in those 3 weeks. Okay, no problem. But we're not working in days right now. We are looking at the percentages, right?
Yeah.
We just found out what is 1%. 1% is equal to how many cars?
4.
4. And what percent do I have in my first 3 weeks?
40%.
In the first 3 weeks?
In the first 3 weeks.
Yeah. You'll see it here on the left-hand side of your screen.
70.
70%, right?
Yeah.
So if 1% is 4, what do I have to do to find for 70%?
70.
That means I have 70 times 4, right?
4 by 70.
Yes. 4 by 70 will give me the total number of cars in weeks 1 to 3. So go ahead and multiply 70 by 4 for me, please.
280.
Right. 280. Good?
Yeah.
So that is weeks 1 to 3. So if these 3 numbers here, the missing one, 120 and 50, altogether must be equal to 280, right?
Yeah.
So how will I find that missing number there? Something plus 120 plus 50 is equal to 280. So what do I have to do to get that missing number?
You have to add 150 and 50.
Right, you add 120 and 50, and what would that give me?
That will give you 170.
Right, 170. And what do I have to do with that 170 now? So
You have to take it away.
Take it away from how much?
280.
Very good. So what is 280 take away 170?
So
280 take away 170.
it's 110.
110. All right, so we have the number of cars in week 2, okay? So now we need to figure out the number of cars rented in week 5. So let's do the same thing that we just did for the 30%. So just now we said that 1% is 4 cars, so for 70%, that means 280 cars. We multiply 70 by 4, right?
Yeah.
So 30% now, what do I multiply by what to figure out how many cars in 30%?
In 30%?
Instead of multiplying by 70, what would I have to multiply by now?
30 by 4?
Right, 30 by 4, very good. So what is 30 multiplied by 4?
120.
120, right? Okay, so therefore, we have 120 cars being rented from weeks 4 to 6. So I know that 40 was rented on week 4 and 30 in week 6. So what do I have to do now to figure out how much or how many were rented in week 5? We just did the steps for the previous 3 weeks. What do I have to do now?
Okay.
We have 40 plus 30 plus something is equal to 120.
You have to take away. You have to add 40 and 30.
Right. How much is that?
70.
Right. And we're taking that away from how much?
70. You have to take away 120 from 70.
Right. So you're taking away 70 from 120, right?
You'll get 50.
And you'll get 50. So therefore the number of cars rented in week 5 is 50, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what does the question want us to find out?
How many more cars were rented in week 2 than week 5?
Right. So how would I find that now?
You have to take away 110 from 50.
Right. So take away 50 from 110. And what would that give me?
You'll get 60.
60 cars, right?
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Okay. Thank you so much, Aaron.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. So like I said, that question, it is a tough question, right? There's a lot of things to unpack in this question, but we really have to take our time and analyze the information given and figure out how we have to apply that information in order to figure out what we are looking for. So we were told that 70% of all the cars were rented before week 4 as weeks 1 to 3, right? Therefore, 30% of those cars were rented from weeks 4 to 6. And we were told that the difference in the first 3 weeks and the second 3 weeks, or weeks 1 to 3 and weeks 4 to 6, is 160 cars. So we found the percentage difference by taking 30 away from 70, giving us 40%. So therefore, we could find for 1%, and 1% ended up being 4 cars. All right, so in knowing that now, we can figure out how much 70% is. So we multiplied 70 by 4, and we got 280. All right, 280 from weeks 1 to 3. And if we subtract the numbers in weeks 1 and 3 from that total, we got 110. Good? And we did the same thing for weeks 4 to 6, which accounted for 30%. We know for 1%, which is 4, so we multiplied 30 by 4, we got 120 cars. And then if we eliminate or take away the sum of weeks 4 and 6 from that total, we would get for week 5. And notice, weeks 1 to 3 is 280, weeks 4 to 6 is 120. If you subtract 120 from 280, you would get the 60 cars that they were talking about, right? So now we know the difference. We know what is the number of cars in week 2 and the number of cars in week 5. And the final step is just to simply subtract them. 110, take away 50, and that gave us a total of 60 cars. So thank you, Aaron. I know that that was a challenging question, but you stuck it through with us, and we do commend that, right? So we're moving on to our second question now in our section 3, so it's tough today. All right, no doubt about it. So let's take the caller. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
Alex.
Hey, welcome, Alex. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
All right, so can you read this question for us, please?
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Justin borrowed $12,000 at a rate of 5% per annum for 4 years from Bank A. Mr. Shiraz borrowed 12,000 at a rate of 3% per annum for 2.5 years from Bank B.
Right.
Calculate the difference in the monthly amount that each customer has to repay to either bank.
All right, very good. So what would you do here, Alex?
Well, firstly, I'll find the simple interest of Bank A.
Uh-huh.
Hey, please, give me a minute to work it out.
All right, just tell me the formula for simple interest first.
Oh, it's principal multiplied by the interest rate
Uh-huh.
multiplied by the time
All right.
over 100.
Okay. So you work that out, right?
Okay.
And likewise, everybody at home.
So I have my answer.
What is it?
2,400.
2,400. Yeah, that is correct. So that is our simple interest, right?
Okay.
All right. And what do we do from there now?
We have to find the total amount he has to pay back to Bank A.
Okay. And what do we do to get the total amount?
We have to multiply the principal by the simple interest.
Multiply?
No, sorry, add.
All right, very good. We need to add.
And when you add up that answer, you'll get is
Take your time, take your time. This is an easy addition. Don't tie up yourself.
oh yes, I got my answer.
Uh-huh.
It's $14,400.
$14,400, all right. So that is the total amount that Mr. Justin has to pay, right?
Yes, for Bank A.
Okay, but remember, what are we going to compare at the end?
The difference.
The difference in what?
The difference in the monthly amount
Okay.
each customer has to repay to either bank.
Right, so did we calculate the monthly amount as yet?
No, not as yet.
All right.
Give me a minute.
Tell me what you're going to do to get that monthly amount.
Okay, well, I'm going to divide the total amount
Uh-huh.
by 48 months because 4 years is equal to 4 times 12, which is 48.
Excellent, that's what I want to hear.
Okay. Okay, so I got my answer.
What is your answer?
$300, which will be the monthly amount.
Right, so that's what Mr. Justin is paying, right?
Yes.
$300 per month. Now, what about Mr. Shiraz now in Bank B? What do we do here?
We do the same formula, the same steps for Bank B.
Right.
So can you please give me a minute to work out the simple interest for that?
Sure. So it's 12,000, 3%, and 2.5 years, right?
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes.
I think I have my answer.
And what is it?
It will be $900.
And that would be absolutely right. So 900 is the simple interest. Therefore, what is the amount that Mr. Shiraz has to repay?
It will be 12,000 added to 900,
Right.
which will give you $12,900.
Right. And what is the last thing we have to calculate for Mr. Shiraz now?
We have to divide
By how much?
by 2.5 years, which will equal to 30 months.
Very good.
Give me a minute to work it out, right?
Yep.
So I have my answer.
Yeah.
It's 430.
430. So Mr. Shiraz's monthly installment is 430 and Mr. Justin's monthly installment is 300, right?
Yes, sir.
And the question wants to find out calculate the difference in the monthly amount that each customer has to repay. So what is the final step now?
You need to take away 430 from 300,
Right. 300 from 430, right?
which will give you an answer of 130.
Very good. So that is the difference in the monthly amount that they will repay, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Alex.
Okay, and sir, can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead. No problem.
I just wanted to say that how this program was a really great program, and that I'll miss it.
And we will miss you calling us as well, Alex. And we hope that everything that you learned, you will be able to apply it in your exam on that day, right?
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. You're welcome. Take care, Alex.
Okay.
All right. So, very nice. Some touching words there from our student who calls us all the time. I think that might be Alex Basdeo from our Edmodo class. All right. So again, for this question, we know the simple interest stuff, guys. Many of you are very proficient in it. What we have to do here for this question is just basically calculate simple interest, total amount, and monthly payment for two different individuals borrowing from two different banks. And once we get those monthly payments, we can simply subtract them and get our final answer, right? So I hope that this one didn't pose too much of a problem as compared to the last question. So let's move on now to yet another question. And this question is a measurement type question. Those last two that we did fall under the strand of number. This is a measurement question here. Then we'll have a geometry question, and finally a statistics question. That is how section 3 is usually structured, or how it is structured, right? So again, those numbers are available there for you on the screen. This is a very nice question, by the way. It's like solving a puzzle. I mean, most math questions are, but this one has a visual element to it. And we're dealing with fractions and areas and all sorts of things. So I'm really interested in hearing what our students will come up with for this particular question. So I'm going to go ahead and read it in the meantime until we get a caller to help us. So actually, I have a caller, so I'll just let the caller read it. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to Series
Please hang up now.
Hello?
Hello,
Hi, good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
Rehan.
Hey, welcome, Rehan. So, Rehan, would you read this question for us, please?
Yes, sir. The shape below is made up of three equal squares, x, y, and z. The shaded area A is 1/4 of the area of square x. The shaded area of B is 1/4 of the area of A. The total shaded area is 125 centimeters square. Calculate the unshaded area shown by the region C.
Right. So, Rehan, what are your thoughts here?
So first you have, since the shaded area of A is 1/4 the area of square x, and that means 4 of A could complete the whole square x.
Right.
And since B is 1/4 of A, That means if you divide that means it's 5 pots, and you have to divide 125 centimeters square by 5 to get the area of B.
Okay.
And then when you do that, you get 25 centimeters squared.
Right.
So when you get 25 centimeters squared, then you know that 25 by 4 will give you x, which is 100 centimeters squared. So now for C, yes, hello?
25 multiplied by 4 would give me what?
100.
And that would be the area of what?
X.
Of X. No, that would actually be the area of A.
No, that would be the area of X because A is 25 and then A is 1/4 of X.
That B is 25. Which one is 25, A or B?
And the one that's 25 is B.
B, right?
Yeah, so that multiplied by 4, since B is 1/4 of A, then you'll get for A. 100 is for A, and then...
Right, 100 is for A. So you see why you just made a little slip of the tongue there?
Yeah.
Right?
So then A multiplied by 4 will give you the area of X, which is 400 centimeters squared. So then you see that B, when B is 1/4 of A. So then, I guess now.
You're going good so far. You're going good so far. So B is 25 centimeters squared and A is 100 centimeters squared, right?
Yes.
And X is 400 centimeters squared, you're telling me, right?
Yes.
Because if 100 is a quarter, then the whole must be 4 times that amount, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we want to figure out the unshaded area of C. Yes?
So then, yes, so you have to calculate the area of C and minus 125 centimeters squared.
Right, we have to actually calculate the area of Y, because Y is that middle square.
Yeah, Y is the middle square and C is the region inside of it.
Right. So if the entire area of X is 400 centimeters squared, what do you think is the area of Y?
The area of Y would also be 400 centimeters square, as they are all equal squares.
Very good.
And then you must minus the 125 centimeters from the 400 centimeters, and you'll get the 275 centimeters squared. That's the area of C.
Excellent. 275 centimeters squared, right? And Rehan, is this your first time calling us?
No, I've called 2 times before.
All right. Well, it was very nice having you to help me with this question, Rehan.
You're welcome. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. All right. So Rehan there powered through that question, just using his mental mathematics alone, it would seem, all right? But I know some of us at home would not be able to do that, so I'm going to explain this a little bit more, all right? So we have 3 equal squares here that are overlapping, x, y, and z. All right, we were told that the shaded area is 1/4 of the square x, good? And the shaded area of B is 1/4 of the area of A, okay? So we have A being equal to 1/4 of the square x, and B is 1/4 of the area of A. And of means to multiply, right? So 1/4 by 1/4, that gives me 1/16. All right? And together, A and B, which represents the combined shaded area, right? The total shaded area entails A and B. So that would be 1/4 plus 1/16, right? And we can convert a quarter to 4/16 by using our knowledge of equivalent fractions. And we will get 5/16. All right, so the area of the combined shaded area A and B is 5/16 of one of these squares. All right, either X or Y or Z, because all three squares are equal. So if 5/16 is equal to 125 square centimeters, then 1/16 would be equal to 125 divided by 5, which is equal to 25 square centimeters. Okay, so the unshaded region C now, if we are looking at the square Y, good, the unshaded region is what is left after we subtract that 5/16, which makes up A and B. All right, so C is equal to 1 subtract 5/16, or 16 over 16 subtract 5/16, which is 11/16. That is the unshaded region of C. And since we know 1/16 is 25 centimeters, we can find for 11/16 by multiplying 11 by 25, and we will get the same 275 square centimeters. All right, so what you need to do, viewers, any of you who did not understand Rehan's answer off the bat, you can look at it, rewatch it, listen to his reasoning. All right, his reasoning is sound. And then if you need further clarification from the fractions perspective, right, because the question did include fractions, right, and if we can use those fractions to aid us in our understanding here of what is taking place. So you can look at this further explanation at the end to see why the answer is indeed 275 centimeters squared, right? And we didn't even have to do anything with 400 square centimeters or anything like that, right? Just by knowing the fraction of the square that is represented by C, we could eliminate the fraction that is known, which is the 5/16, which entails A and B, right? We are left with 11/16. We know that 1/16 is 25 square centimeters, so we can find for 11 and get the same 275. Both are valid ways, and I really appreciate the way that Rehan worked it. And this is just a more detailed way in case you can't just visualize and come up with those numbers as easily, all right? So we have another question now. I see I have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. And who am I speaking with?
Zafira.
Welcome, Zafira. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. So can you read this question for us, please?
Can you help me read it from a little distance from the TV?
Sorry?
Can you help me read it from a little distance from the TV?
All right, okay. So let's just zoom in there, guys, and I will read. The shaded area in the diagram is an incomplete drawing of a shape that has a line of symmetry that is parallel to the line AB, perpendicular to the line BC, and passes through the point X. Draw the line of symmetry and complete the shape by shading the required areas on the grid. Now, these types of questions, Zafira, they are kind of difficult for a student to do with me over the phone, right? Because really you're supposed to be drawing here. But you can still assist me for me to do the drawing to some extent, right?
Yes.
So but you can do so by helping me to identify the meanings of some words here in this question. What does parallel mean?
Parallel means the sides are running in the same directions, but they do not touch each other.
Excellent. So the lines are moving in the same direction, but they never meet, right? They do not touch each other. So therefore, so one of the qualities of this line of symmetry is that it's parallel to the line AB, right?
Yes.
And are you seeing that line AB?
Yes.
All right, that's this line here. So our line of symmetry must be parallel to that, and it must be perpendicular to the line BC. What does perpendicular mean?
They meet at a 90-degree angle.
It meets at a 90-degree angle. Excellent. So it is parallel to AB, and it is perpendicular to BC, right? And for the audience at home, these line segments here, AB and BC, they are already perpendicular to each other. They meet at a right angle, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So that is perpendicular. They are demonstrated. And lastly, the line of symmetry passes through the point X, right? Are you seeing that point X?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore, that line of symmetry would look something like this. Yes or no? Are you seeing that, Zafira?
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes.
All right. And now we just have to use that line of symmetry to shade the squares that would represent the shape, right? That is created when we use that line of symmetry to basically mirror that image on the left-hand side there, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, they wouldn't necessarily be able to tell me how to shade it. So I will go ahead and shade it now, right? But I believe once we find that line of symmetry, it will be quite easy to shade the rest. Not so?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Safira.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. So we've located our line of symmetry. And then we can shade in the remainder. All right. Okay. All right. So not exactly the best shading tool here that I'm using, but hopefully you can see here the outline of the shape I'm trying to shade. All right, which is the mirror image of the dark shaded portion on the other side of that line of symmetry, all right? So that is basically how we would do that, how we would complete that image. So again, the key here to understanding how to solve this problem is to know what the words parallel and perpendicular mean. If you don't know what those words mean, you will never be able to get this question out, all right? So it's parallel to AB. Let's take a look at that. So is it in the same direction of the line AB, this line of symmetry? Yes. All right. It might not be 100% perfectly drawn on the screen, but in your exam, you will use your ruler and pencil and draw it better than me, right? And is it perpendicular to BC? Yes, it meets the line BC at a right angle, which is what makes it perpendicular, right? Good. And it passes through the point X. So now we can use that and create the opposite or the mirror image of that on the other side of the line of symmetry. And remember, a line of symmetry is a line such that if we were to fold this object in half now about the line of symmetry, it would completely cover, one side would completely cover the other. That's one way to visualize and to check whether you have in fact drawn the line of symmetry. Good? All right, so let's move on to our last question in this section 3 of the paper. Now I have a caller on the line and I'm going to take this caller. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening and welcome, Jaden.
So I just want to tell you something.
Okay.
So I just want to thank you and Miss Nana for all the efforts made with us, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Jaden, and we really appreciate you calling us almost every day. Jaden is someone that calls, and he calls several times, and he's from all the way over in Tobago as well, our sister island. So it is a great joy for us to have you with us every day, Jaden, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So can you read this question for me, please?
Okay. So you could zoom in a little, please.
Sure. Guys, can we zoom in on the question? All right, Jaden. So as you see it, you go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. The incomplete table below represents litter collected at a beach during a cleanup campaign. The average number of pieces of litter collected was 36.4. 3 times as many styrofoam cups were collected than aluminum cans. Complete the table to indicate the number of styrofoam cups and aluminum cups collected.
Right. So Jaden, what do you think we have to do here?
So I think first thing you could add up the amount for the plastic cups, glass bottles, and paper cups.
All right, and when you add that up, how would that help us?
So you'll be able to find out the missing amount.
All right, okay. So you go ahead, add up those 3 and tell me what is that equal to?
So you'll get 98.
98. I want you to double check that work in there. All right, actually, no, you know what? That is correct. 98 is the answer.
Yes, sir.
All right, 98. Sorry about that, Jaden. All right, so that is plastic, glass, and paper cups, right?
Yes, sir.
Plastic, glass, and paper cups. So now that we know that number, Jaden, what do we have to do next? We need to have some kind of total to subtract from to get the missing numbers, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, what would you do to get that total? Or
I
what
think I could-
information we have to in order to find that total? Do we have any other numbers to work with in this question?
No, sir.
All right. So we have an average, right? Are you seeing the average in the question?
Yes, sir.
Right. We have an average of 36.4 pieces of litter collected, right?
Yes, sir.
So that means across the 5 different types of litter, plastic, glass, styrofoam, paper, and aluminum, the average number of pieces was 36.4. So how did they get that 36.4? What do you have to do to get an average?
So you have to find the average and just add up the amount, and find the total and divide by the amount of numbers.
Right. But right now we have the amount of numbers and we have the average, right?
So I think you could multiply the 36.4 by the 5.
By 5. Excellent. So you go ahead and work that out for me.
Sunny will get 182.
182, very good. So 182 is split between which two types of letter? Actually, 182 is the total amount, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have to find the number that is left. Once we subtract the number for plastic cups, glass bottles, and paper cups, and we already found that to be 98, right?
Yes, sir.
So, right. So how do I get the missing amount now?
They will subtract 98 from 182.
Very good. 98 from 182, and what is that?
Now working it out.
No problem.
Sunny will get 84.
84, right? So, right. So 84 is actually what is split between styrofoam cups and aluminum cans, right?
Yes, sir.
But how is it equally split?
No, sir.
How is it split?
So they said one amount getting 3 times the another amount.
Right. So how many shares do we have altogether then? We have 3 times as many styrofoam cups as aluminum cans, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have 3 times as much styrofoam cups as aluminum cans. So this would be the aluminum, and this would be our styrofoam cup. So that total amount, that is 84, is split into how many parts?
So 4.
4 parts, right? So therefore the styrofoam cups would be 3 out of those 4 parts, and the aluminum would be 1, right?
Yes, sir.
So in other words, what fraction of 84 would give us the styrofoam cups?
So 84 out of the total.
Okay, 84 is the remainder of litter from the total amount of litter, right? Styrofoam and aluminum is combined is 84, and that is split into 4 parts, and 3 of those parts go to styrofoam cups and 1 to aluminum. So therefore, styrofoam cups would be 3/4 of 84. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, sir.
And what is 3/4 of 84?
That working it out.
Okay, no problem.
So that would be 61.
63.
So that would be 63.
Right. So 3/4 is 63. And how much would 1/4 of 84 be?
So 21.
21, right? So that is how we have now completed this table here in the correct manner. All right, Jaden?
Yes, sir. So you will be able to read my essay in the second hour?
Yes, we are going to try to read everybody's, Jaden. We're going to try our best to read every single person's one today.
Okay, sir.
All right, but we are not done with it yet, you know. We have a part B to this question.
Oh.
All right, so the rest of the question says, on the grid below, draw a complete block diagram to represent the information from the table in 45A. Indicate the title, label the axes, and give the scale factor used, right? So
Yes, sir.
I'm just going to transcribe the different numbers for the different types of litter. We have 49, 14, and 63. 49, 14, 63, 35, and 21. Right? Now, I'm not really supposed to write these numbers in the diagram, but I'm just writing it so that we don't have to keep flipping back, right?
Yes, sir.
So, right. So, what would you label this or title this block diagram to be? What is this information showing?
So garbage collected at the beach.
Right, that's one way to put it. So anything along those lines would be correct, right?
Yes.
Garbage or litter at the beach, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you'll be getting a mark there off the bat. Okay, and what they said to label the axes, right? So that is basically a horizontal line and a vertical line. So at the bottom on the horizontal, what is that showing us at the underneath there?
Plastic cups.
Right, it's showing us plastic cup, glass bottles, styrofoam, paper cups, aluminum cans, right?
Yes,
so,
sir.
Those are all what?
The type of material they collected.
Right, excellent. So the types of litter, right?
Yes, sir.
Right, so we'll write in that after. And now the blocks is going to show us what now?
How much each represents.
Right, so the number of pieces or the number of items, right, of this litter. And on the underneath, it's showing us the types of litter, right?
Yes, sir.
So the last thing we have to do now is figure out the appropriate scale to use in our block diagram and to actually shade in the blocks for the block diagram, right?
Yes, sir.
So look at these numbers, 49, 14, 63, 35, and 21. What are they all factors, or sorry, multiples of, Jaden?
So 7.
7. So one block we can use to represent 7 pieces of litter, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how many blocks would I have to shade for plastic cups then?
So 7.
Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Shading all of that, right?
Yes, sir.
Of course, you will do a much better job at shading because we're trying to wrap it up soon, right?
Yes, sir.
And what about the glass bottles?
Say with shade 2.
Shade 2. Styrofoam cups?
9.
9. I believe we have 9 in total here. Anyway, paper cups?
5.
Right, 5. And lastly, aluminum cans?
3.
3, right? 7 3s are 21. And that would be the entirety of our question 45, right, Jaden?
Yes, sir.
All right, Jaden. So thank you so much for working together with us on this question. I know it was a long one.
Yes, sir.
All right, take care and look out for your essay in the next segment, right?
Okay, sir.
All right, bye. All right, guys. So, quick recap. We have here an incomplete table, different types of litter. We have those values for 3 of the 5 types of litter. We have an average. We want to figure out what are the numbers for styrofoam and aluminum cans. We can use our knowledge of averages to get the total. We have the average, we have the number of items. So we multiply the average by the number to get our total or our sum, which was 182. Right, the 3 known pieces of litter amounted to 98 altogether. Subtract that from the total, which is 182, and we got 84 left. And it is split in such a manner that there are 3 times more styrofoam cups than aluminum cans. So we have to divide this up into 4 parts, and 3 go to styrofoam cups, and 3 go to styrofoam cups, and 1 goes to the aluminum cans, right? So that's 3/4 of 84 is 63, and 1/4 of 84 is 21. And lastly, we have to come up with an appropriate title, label the axes, number of pieces, types of litter. You all can write in that at the bottom here. And we have to come up with an appropriate scale for the block graph. All of these are multiples of 7, as Jaden rightly said. And now we just need to shade the appropriate number of blocks to complete the diagram. And that is a wrap on the entire SCA practice paper that we did from start to finish with your help, your input, and my guidance, right? Well done, guys. Thank you so much for all of your help and all of your calls. We are going to take a short break now, and we'll come back with creative writing. Myself and Miss Nyla will be doing the creative writing for today, so don't go anywhere. See you in a couple of minutes.